What's up, YouTube? Jeff, your style OG. And on today's video, I'm going to share with you my 15 best first date tips. If you're new to the channel, we release a new video every day at 4 p.m. Eastern, discussing various men's lifestyle topics such as style, grooming, and dating. I invite you to subscribe, tap the notification bell, and join us. And to my returning friends like Robin Sunrise, salute. Now that first date can be an exciting, anxious, exhilarating, and nerve-wracking experience for us fellas. You definitely want to make a great first impression. And with proper planning, you definitely will. On today's video, I'm going to share with you 15 of my best first date tips that if you check off most of them on the list, you're probably going to have a great experience with that young lady. So without any further delay, let's get into this list of my best 15 first date tips. First date tip number 1, make sure you take the onus of planning the date. Here's the thing, when you're first getting to know each other, you might not know what you want to do. Asking her what she wants to do and her asking you what you want to do, that is the worst thing that can happen. It will make you appear indecisive, which is a big turnoff to the ladies. So grab the bull by the horns and you plan the date. After you've done a little recognizance through a couple of conversations with her, settle on an activity that you both will enjoy and will make for easier conversation. And with that in mind, 2 things I don't suggest. Not a movie or a loud concert. This is the first time spending time with a young lady. You want it to be quiet enough that you can hear each other talking to one another. Pick a place, an environment, or an activity that will give you enough distraction that you'll have something to talk about if there's some waning points in the conversation, but not too distracting that getting to know each other isn't the main point. Tip number 2 is along those same lines. When planning the date, don't be cheap. If you can't afford to go somewhere reasonably nice, wait till the next paycheck. Save up a little bit. I'm not telling you need to go all out on some fancy, extravagant dinner, but please no penny pinching and coupons on the first date. Now this next tip, you probably could expect it to be coming from this channel. Make an effort on that first date to be stylish. Now here's the thing, I'm not telling you to overdo it and be overdressed. You want to wear something that's a good representation of your style. So if you're not a suit and tie guy, don't wear a suit and tie. And if you're not the streetwear guy, don't try to be too hip either. Easy guideline I like to use, think about if you're going for a night out on the town with your buddies. Wear the best version of that outfit. The key is make some effort. She's gonna make some effort to look good for you. I suggest you do the same. Next up, let's talk about that cologne, if you wear any at all. The problem with cologne on the first date, you don't know if she's allergic to it, if she likes it, or if your signature scent is too overpowering. I suggest you wear a subtle scent if you're gonna wear a fragrance. One that's not projecting too much, or one that enters the room before you do. Want some suggestions on some great first date tips? Check out the video I did recently on the best first date colognes. I'll leave the link in the description. Now this next tip, I would hope I wouldn't have to tell you, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Just like with anything that you're doing that's important, please be on time. And to me, being on time means being 5 minutes early. It's okay if she's fashionably late. You're the gentleman. Make sure you're there. Being on time shows that you're a man that values time, and more importantly, the time of others, including your first date. Please, don't be late. Now, one of the things most of us guys fear on that first date is dead spaces or big lulls in the conversation. A great way to avoid this is to pre-plan some first date questions or topics of conversation. What I suggest you do, write down some questions you'd like to ask her. Write down some great topics of conversation. This way, if you're stuck with something to say, you can fall back on that list. Now for our next tip is a bit of a piggyback on that last one. You want to have some conversation topics, but please, whatever you do, don't just talk about yourself. Yes, you're going to want to share some things about you, but make sure you're asking her questions, getting to know her, letting you know you're interested in what's going on and what's important in her life. And trust me, if she's interested in getting to know you, she'll ask questions about you. You won't have to focus on you. She will. A good rule of thumb, for everything you say about yourself, ask her 2 things about her. Now, because the conversation and getting to know each other is so important on the first date, I've got a couple of more conversation tips. The first being, ease up on the serious talk. You want things on the first date to be light, fun, and easygoing. Please don't talk about your childhood trauma. This is not the time to talk about how much you want to get married and how many kids you can see each other having. Being too serious and too heavy is a big turn off. Ease into it, big fella. Keep the conversation light and fun. Which brings me to our next topic. Please do not talk about money, how much you make, asking her how much she makes. Those are conversations for later down the line when you're trying to get serious with one another. Nobody cares about your six-figure salary. If you're a man of means, it will be apparent. You don't have to put it on Front Street. Once you guys get engaged and talking about getting married, then show her your 401k statement and your bank statement. The next tip piggybacks on the one we just talked about. Please go easy on the bragging. You don't want to be talking about how successful you are, your fancy car, how you're just a man in these streets. Nothing turns a lady more off than arrogance. Like I mentioned in the money topic, if you're that dude, it will be apparent as she gets to know you. She'll be able to pick up on the signs on just how dope you are. Let her find out for herself. Don't brag about it. Next up on our list of first date do's or don'ts, do be a gentleman. Now, I don't care how much society has changed, how much we're supposed to be on equal footing, that's cool. But trust me, a lady still likes to be treated like a lady. And it's the simple things. Open the door for her. Pick up the bill on the first date. Offer her your jacket if it gets cold. These little things she definitely will notice. And here's a bonus tip. A lot of guys aren't gentlemen. If you are, you'll stand out from the bunch. Which leads me to my next tip. Being a gentleman includes giving her a few gentlemanly compliments. Heavy emphasis on gentlemanly compliments. You don't need to tell her how nice her rack is, how good her rear end looks in her jeans. Ease up. Be a little more subtle. Be cool. Instead, compliment her on something she has on. Notice an accessory or maybe her shoes. Or even better yet, compliment her smile. Everyone, whether man or woman, loves to be complimented, including your first date. But don't be overly aggressive with the compliments. Be subtle, my guy. Speaking of being subtle and not focusing on her body parts, please don't be ultra aggressive or too handsy on the first date. I get it, you wanted to go out with her because you're very attracted to her. Let the chemistry develop naturally, however. Hopefully you chose someone that you want to get to know. If the physical is going to occur, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. Just like you, she may be nervous, she may be anxious. Putting her in what might feel like a compromising position on the first date is a definite no-no. Subtle gestures such as holding her hand or giving her a kiss on the cheek at the end of the date, unless the chemistry is hot and super on fire, take it easy on the aggressiveness on that first date. And one of the ways to make sure you're making the right moves on the first date is maybe not let the inhibitions down too much in over drinking the alcohol. Drinking too much on the first date is an easy way for you to make a mistake, whether consciously or unconsciously. It's much better to be in control of yourself as much as possible. Drinking too much alcohol, easy way to mess up. Plus, if you take the alcohol too far, you might get sloppy drunk. She definitely doesn't need to see that. Maybe just 1 or 2 drinks on the first date. And last but certainly not least on my list of the 15 best first date tips, whatever you do, do not spend time bashing your ex-girlfriend. As a matter of fact, avoid the topic at all if you can help it. No matter how bad your last relationship went, and if it was all her fault, you talking about the bad qualities of another woman is a bad sign. It's going to be a red flag to your first date. She's going to be thinking, if things don't work out between us, is he going to talk down on me like this? There's no upside in bashing your ex. Trust me, no matter how much you feel like you want to get it off your chest, it doesn't help you on a first date. Like our moms used to always tell us, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. Okay, so there you have it, my 15 best first date tips. If you have any great first date tips you want to share with the Styleog family, please leave them in the comment section. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, hit that like button. Helps the channel to grow. And of course, tap that notification bell so you don't miss any of the videos we release every day at 4 p.m. Eastern, and I'll check you out tomorrow.